Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. I hope all of you are in good condition. Okay, today I am Yeni Lydia Arifa and Muhammad Ridho Ashari will present about communicative competence. And the first presenter will be present by. Okay, the first slide is about definition of communicative competence. According to Sabrina, communicative competence is relative, not absolute, and depends on the cooperative all of the participants. So, in this communicative competence, it isn't absolute. It means that communicative in every person is different because every person has different style to communicate. For example, if we talk with friends and if we talk with family, it will be different, right? Why it's different? Because we can talk with friends with informal language, but if we talk with family, we have to use a formal language because it's better to communicate using formal when we talk about the older person. Okay, in other hand, communicative competence is the ability to understand and use language effectively to communicate to authentic social and school environment. So, communicative competence is our ability to communicate. It can be communicate with our friends in a school environment or in everything. Yeah. Okay, the next is sociolinguistic competence. Is the ability of speakers in producing sentences according to the situation. Usually, the speakers know where, when, and whom to say things. Okay, the next is discourse competence. Discourse competence is the ability of speakers to use the different types of discourse. Usually, language speakers know what is being referred to in different contexts. The last is strategic competence. Refers to the knowledge speakers have to maintain communication. Therefore, this competence accounts for the speaker's strategies or language users have to be understood and understand others. Okay, the next slide is language competence is defined into two, which is organizational competence and pragmatic competence. Organizational competence also defined into two kinds. The first is grammatical competence and textual competence. Grammatical competence is defined into four kinds. The first is vocabulary, morphology, syntax, and phonology. But textual competence just defined into two kinds. There is cohesion and rhetorical organization. Pragmatic competence is defined into two kinds, which is illocutionary competence and sociolinguistic competence. Illocutionary competence divided into four kinds. There are ideational function, manipulative function, heuristic function, and imaginative function. But sociolinguistic competence is defined into four, which is sensitivity to dialect or verity, sensitivity to register, sensitivity to natural, and cultural reference and figures of speech. Okay, functional syllabus. Syllabus in this case is a term used mainly in the United Kingdom to refer to to what is commonly known as curriculum in the United States. The functional part of national functional syllabus corresponded to what we have defined above as language functions. Curricular organize around such functions as identifying, reporting, denying, designing and invitation, asking permission, and apologizing. Okay, that's for me, and the next slide will be continue with Muhammad Ridho Ashari. Thank you.
Okay guys, now I will discuss about discourse analysis. The analysis of the relationship between form and function of language is commonly called discourse analysis, which encompasses the notion that language is more than a sentence level phenomenon. A single sentence can seldom be fully analyzed without considering its context. We use language in sentence of discourse to formulate representation of meaning, not just from a single sentence, but from a reference in both previous sentence and following sentence. Consider the following: got the time, 10:15, more coffee, I'm okay, dinner, just a minute. Okay, next, conversation analysis. The above comment on the significance of acquiring literacy competence notwithstanding, conversation still remains one of the most silent and significant modes of discourse. Conversation are excellent examples of the interactive and interpersonal nature of communicative. Conversation are cooperative features heads and long 1980. Second language learners may be reluctant to participant in a conversation because of their own inhibition, or they may become obnoxious in securing attention in ways that turn off their ear to the topic they wish to discuss. Unspeaks have secured the learner's attention. Their task becomes one of topic nomination, topic development, uh, shifting, avoidance, and interruption, topic termination, uh, age, P, grade, 1967. On note the certain conversational makes enable the speaker to nominate and mention a topic of conversation. One, quantity; two, quality; three, relevancy; four, minor. Quantity say only as much as is necessary for understanding the communication. Quality say only with is true. Relevant say only with is relevant. Minor, be clear. Okay, next, pragmatic is the branch of linguistics which student those aspects of meaning which cannot be captured by semantic theory. It is a systematic way of explaining language in use context. Okay, next, language and gender. The ideology of gender categories is typically nudged in linguistic practice. Indeed, it is through language that individual cultural understanding of gender categories are learned and the coordination of gender rules are shaped. Language is a tool of communication, or gender is a range of characteristics used to distinguish between males and females, particularly in the case of men and women and the masculine and feminine attributes assigned to them. Language and gender itself is an area of study within sociolinguistics, applied linguistics, and related fields that investigation varieties of speech associated with a particular gender or social norm for such gender language use. Okay, next, styles and register. Another important issue in describing communicative competence is the way we use language in different styles, depending on the context of a communicative art in terms of subject matter, audience, caution, shared experience, and purpose of communication, and five levels of formality bias. Number one, an oratorical style, used in public speaking before a large audience. And two, a deliberative style, used in addressing audience, usually audience to learn to permit effective interchange between speakers and hearers. Number three, consultative style, typically a dialogue through formal now that words are chosen with some care. And number four, casual, between friends or colleagues or sometimes members of family. And number five, an intimate style, on characterized by a complete of social inhibition. And next, nonverbal communication. We communicate so much information nonverbally in conversation that often the verbal aspect of the conversation is neglected. This is particularly true for interactive language function in which social content is of key importance and in which it is not what you say that counts but who you say it, what you convey with body language, gesture, eye contact, physical distance, and other nonverbal message. Nonverbal communication, however, is so subtle and subconscious in a native speaker that verbal language seems by comparison quite mechanical and systematic. Next, kinesics. Every culture and language use body language or kinesics in unique but clearly interpretable ways. Next is contact. In American culture, it is permissible, for example, for two participants of unequal status to mention poor language is contact, in which an American may interpret lack of eye contact as this course states lack of attention, while in Japanese culture is contact may be considered rude. Intercultural interference in this nonverbal category can lead to misunderstanding. Next, prochemics. Physical proximity or proxemic is also a meaningful communicative category. Cultures vary widely in acceptable distance for conversation. And then artifact, the nonverbal message of clothing and ornamentation are also important aspect of communication. And then kinesthetic, touching, sometimes referred to as kinesthetic, is another culturally lead aspect of nonverbal communication. How we touch other and where we touch them is sometimes the most misunderstood aspect of nonverbal communication. Okay. uh, if I many mistake, I'm sorry. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.